And hello, movie lovers. So tonight, I actually have my good friend Dan from Scene Invaders, and we're going to be talking about our best TV shows of 2022. And some of our lists may be different or whatever, but tell us in the comment section what your favorite TV shows of 2022 are in the comment section. And let's further ado, let's go on ahead and get on with the show. And hey, Dan, how are you doing?
Good. What's going on? Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Hey, it's been a long time. I'm glad to actually have you back here. I know our schedules are kind of jumbled up sometimes, but it's always good and a pleasure to actually have you on the show.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. Likewise.
So, 2022 had some great TV shows. And, the list is just stacked up. It was actually hard to do like a 5 list. And at first, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to name like number of everything because it's so hard to actually do everything. But I think us just narrowing it down to 5 TV shows and then doing like maybe 2 or 3 honorable mentions will actually top it off pretty nicely, I think.
Yeah. When I was doing my list initially, I had a 5 that I thought was locked in, but it's changed now. And it's only been like 2 weeks since I thought about it, but it's changed now. I have a new number 3, so I'll let you know.
All right.
But yeah, it was a good year. Good year.
Definitely a great year for television. So my thing is this. So what would you say would be your honorable mention when you did your list?
All right. So this one totally could have been in my top 5, but for some reason it's just on the outside. So Yellow Jackets. Did you watch that?
I watched a couple of episodes of it. I never finished it, but I definitely liked where it was going from what I watched.
It's really good. I mean, if you like Lost or that type of vibe, you'll probably love this show. And it's the mystery, like at the heart of it, is really good. And season 2 is coming out soon, so I'm curious how they're gonna, continue from season 1. But really good show. You should definitely give it a shot if you haven't finished it yet.
Yeah, I haven't finished it. I remember when Dexter New Blood was on, and then they also had Yellow Jackets followed after Dexter New Blood. And I remember how much of the nostalgia that I have with the 90s kind of vibe to it and how it just sucks you in with the plot points and stuff like that. It does have that Lost kind of vibe to it with a little bit of a psychological kind of aspect to it, which is something I really enjoy. So yeah, it's definitely going to be something that I'm going to wind up binging and everything before the second season comes out. So that's going to be on mine.
Yeah, one thing about it that makes it so unique. There's kind of like 3 timelines in the show that they go back and forth between. So it's like before the trip, during the accident, and then after the accident, and it's all split up. And they separate the storylines from each different aspect of, oh, we'll give you a little bit of info here and it'll pay off later and you'll see why. So it's really unique in how they make it. So it's really good.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to binge it. That's for sure. So I have an honorable mention, and you and I both love Ozark.
Yeah.
It's just that this one's outside of the sector when it comes down to top list because of the season finale, the way the final season actually ended. Even though that I'm okay with it now compared to whenever I saw it last time, it just doesn't rank up there as high as I wanted it to whenever I was doing my list. But when you look at the writing, when you look at Jason Bateman, when you look at the plots throughout the season and watching Marty do his thing and even his wife, and then even Omar and things like that, I really was sucked into this life of Marty and wondering if he's going to get out of the situations that it's in. Even whenever you look at the blonde-headed girl, now I forgot her name now that I'm not watching the show or anything like that. But you're actually sucked into this universe of wondering what's going to happen to these characters. Is anybody going to be surviving, or are they going to be chopped off in the chopping block? But I really was enthused with this series.
Yeah, great show all around. To be honest, when I was making my list, I didn't even consider it. I don't know why. I kind of feel like the last season kind of just came and went, and people just kind of forgot about it, which kind of sucks because it was a great show overall. But I don't know, something about this season that it didn't need to be in my top list for the year.
That's why it's under my honorable mentions because of that same reason. And here's the thing: I'm becoming this week to week kind of guy versus it binging now, because I feel like if you binge everything, it's like eating at a buffet. You're overstuffed to the point where you can't actually enjoy it. Not only that, but oversaturation when it comes down to binge watching something, doesn't hold up in the conversation as much as you would do week to week, which I wish Netflix would do, is week to week episodes. So that way you can have that water cooler kind of conversation. And that's probably why for us, it doesn't hold up into conversation as much because of the binging and stuff like that too.
Yeah, that's true. I used to prefer binging, but over the past probably year or two, now I'm back to wanting week by week, because it just makes it that much more fun. Like you said, you could have conversations with your friends about it, and it's not like it literally can't come and go, because you're talking about it for 8 weeks, sometimes longer. So exactly. It's definitely where I'm at now, that I prefer week to week over binging, which if you would have told me that when binging first came out, I would have been like, you're crazy. But yeah, I prefer week by week now for sure.
Same here as well. Because here's the thing, I used to be one of those guys too, where I'm like, oh, I love this. I love binging a show and I can get it all at once, commercial free. Sign me up. I'm good to go. Now it's like, you know what? I think that I'm perfectly fine with just watching week to week.
Yeah, it's better. Yeah.
Hey, baby.
It is better.
But yeah. So what do you have for your other honorable mention?
All right. A couple of these, they just, I don't know. House of the Dragon. That, like, I didn't love it as much as other people loved it.
That's understandable.
And I don't know why. I do love Game of Thrones. Just like, I wasn't obsessed with this show, so it just makes my honorable mention list. Moon Knight. I thought Moon Knight was good at certain points, but certain points kind of weird. Like weird in a bad way, because weird can be a good thing, but like weird in a bad way. And then Tulsa King. Tulsa King's one of the newer ones. So yeah, that would be in my honorable mention as well.
Okay. And I need to see Tulsa King. Tulsa King for me is something that I need to watch. It's just that I haven't gotten a chance to even watch it yet. So let's see here. For my honorable mentions too, I'm gonna have to put Obi-Wan Kenobi in there.
Okay.
I liked it. I loved it, but there was some stuff that I liked and some stuff I didn't like, to the point where it's like, I can't put this in my top tier list like I wanted to whenever it was first announced, whenever we actually have Ewan McGregor returning as Obi-Wan, and then we actually have the context of what the show was going to be on and stuff like that. It was good, but then it just wasn't as great as I wanted it to be.
I'll tell you what, I didn't finish. I was like midway through Obi-Wan, and I just didn't care. I just didn't care about the story, and I haven't watched a Star Wars show since. I think I might have needed a break or something like that. But I've heard Andor is great, so I need to get over it and just get back on that horse and start watching again. But I don't know. I guess it was the Book of Boba Fett. Like after that, I was just okay. I'll do Obi-Wan, and then when I did Obi-Wan, I was just like, nah, I need a break.
That's how I felt after watching Obi-Wan, to be honest with you. One of my friends, Chris, he's been begging me to watch Andor. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I just need a break from Star Wars, I think, because of the fact that I just got done doing Obi-Wan. And I'm like, I think I can have a break, Yeah,
it's like I didn't need to watch the next show. I just didn't care. And I wonder if that would ever happen with Marvel with me. Not the best year for Marvel by any means. Definitely not the best year. But I'm still like, all right, Ant-Man's coming out. I'm super hyped. Let's go. And I'm going to see it. So I wonder if that'll happen. Maybe it will. But it definitely happened with Star Wars this year.
Definitely.
This year.
Hey, Rossie, how are you? So, but yeah, I actually feel the same way about the Marvel stuff and things like that too, because of the fact we didn't get that much good Marvel stuff when it comes down to the movies. But for me, some of the TV shows actually hit for me.
Which
versus the
ones?
movies. We're gonna get to that in a few minutes.
Okay, it's in. All right,
It's in
fair
my
enough. Fair
list.
enough. Fair
But
enough.
okay, so I have two honorable mentions. One was, well, of course, Obi-Wan. Then the other one I have, of course, is Miss Marvel is in my honorable mentions. I really enjoyed this movie because this TV series is because of the fact that it's like a coming of age kind of story told behind the lenses of a character that we haven't seen before, but it also gives us a chance to see somebody else, how they worship, how they do things in their culture, and showing a different side of things instead of always going into New York. Because that was like one of the other things, my pet peeves was like we always saw New York, but we never saw other countries, other states, and cities on how they deal with superheroes or anything like that. What was going on within that time? So then, of course, she's also a super fan who's actually trying to fit in with the school systems and stuff like that too. And I like the fact that she's actually someone that wants to be just like Miss Marvel. So therefore, she has something going for herself, and that's something that I really liked and thought that was very unique with the show itself. And it's even though it's very kid-like, but at the same time, adults can actually relate to it as a parent who was trying to guide their kids through certain situations and scenarios. Then you also have the kid aspect who really loves just the kid side stuff. So I definitely like it.
Yeah, it was a good one. I definitely liked Miss Marvel a lot, and I'm excited for the Marvels, the movie, when that's going to come out. It was interesting, like camera work in that show too. That how they would have like the murals on the walls like come to life when they were driving by and everything. It was different. It was good. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
So those are my honorable mentions. So what do you have for your list as?
All right, I'll give you number 5. You want number 5?
Yeah, give me number 5.
All right, this is going to be The Bear on FX, also Hulu, because FX signed that deal with Hulu, which was genius, by the way. FX knocked it out of the park with that, and I think that's the reason why this show is my number 5, because I don't think I would have watched it if it was just on FX, but they made that deal with Hulu so I could watch it. And this show is fantastic. I don't know if you've seen it. Have you
No,
seen
I
The Bear?
haven't, but I heard good things about it though.
Oh man. So Jeremy Allen White. Now I used to be a cook like when I was in high school and shit. And it does remind me of what that's like. And but the reason why the show is so good, like it is insanely intense where while you're watching it, time is just going by so fast. And like each episode just flies by because of how different and how unique the pacing of the show is. It's so good. Like you can't get enough of it. You literally can't get enough of it. So the fact that they're making a season 2 and there's a nice message to it at the end, at the end of the season, there's a superstar that plays Jeremy Allen White's brother, who is essentially a cameo, but that's like the point of the show. His brother kills himself and leaves him, and he leaves him the family restaurant, but you don't know who his brother is, and then you find out in a flashback scene. It's like, oh shit, it's this guy. Like he's a great actor. I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Great actor. And once you see that, you're gonna be like, oh my god, like this just got so much better. And then there's like, you got the brother kind of Jeremy Allen White, like he's kind of dealing with his brother killing himself and kind of putting his failing business on him, like it's not doing well, and he has to come there and revive it. He's like this fancy chef, and he's coming and working at like a neighborhood type of restaurant. So it's awesome, dude. And
Okay.
the payoff at the end, super good. And season 2, I can't wait. So good. Check it out.
I'm gonna check the bear out though too because I've heard good things about it. Even my sister and my brother-in-law loves the bear, and they have always been trying to pitch it to me for me to watch. So that's something that I'm definitely going to have to watch because of the fact, like you mentioned, it has good plot points, but also too it sucks you into the nostalgia factor too, right? Based off what you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
and there's a deep message
Mm-hmm.
that it's not like preachy or anything like that. Like it's actually like just a deep message about loss and about how to be your own person essentially. Like it's really good. Like it's way better than it should be. So
Okay.
that's saying something for the creator. Like it's definitely a passion project. And Jeremy Allen White, like he comes from Shameless, which is filmed in Chicago and is Chicago, and he goes to The Bear, which also is Chicago. So this guy's just like the luckiest. Like he just keeps finding Chicago roles, and he must be like the king of Chicago at this point. But yeah, it's great. Check it out.
Okay. So this is a show that Rossie and I are reviewing, and we actually are going to be finishing up that series soon. But I managed to watch the last couple of episodes or whatever. But it's called Let the Right One In, which is also based off of basically Let Me In. And what I like about it is the fact that you're playing around with a more present day environment versus the 80s kind of environment, what they did with Let Me In. But but it's also going with a vampire element into it, but you're also dealing with a detective who's investigating all these murders that's happening around in New York City, but you're not sure why these murders are actually happening, what's going on with it. And there's a detective element within that series. And then you're also having this whole entire deal where the parent who has the vampire daughter and she's trying to adapt to a normal human life at the same time as dealing with these emotions of being a vampire, and he's trying to figure out how and balance his life around his daughter, and also trying to figure out what to do with this detective that's living right next door to him, because he's actually having to kill people to keep his daughter alive for the blood. So it's a lot of emotion within that TV series itself, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. The writing sucks you in at the right time. I'm going to be honest with you. This is actually probably one of the best series on TV for Showtime. When you look at from paper over into the screen, I really enjoy this. And not only that, but you don't even feel like when you're binging something, like I binge watched like 4 or 5 episodes in a row, you don't even realize you binged 5 episodes in a row. And that's really saying something for this TV series.
I've never even heard of this. This came out recently, or it's been out a while?
No, it came out recently.
Wow. I'll have to check that out. That sounds good.
And you know how you have to invite a vampire in the house in order for them to be accepted in?
Yeah.
They play around with that scenario where what would happen if you don't invite a vampire in and they just come in. They play around with that. They also play around with the fact that, what happens if they eat normal food? Whenever they first turn into a vampire, what would happen then? So they play around with that scenario. And you're looking at friendships with the detective's son and this vampire as well. So it's really a great, engaging story.
Cool. What channel is it on?
It's on Showtime.
Showtime. Okay.
So Rossie's the one who put me up to it. I've really enjoyed it. And it's been enjoyable for her and I both to be able to review this and everything. And if I'm having fun reviewing something, it goes to show you the volumes that this TV show has.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. I'll check that out.
Right.
Cool. All right. Number 4 for me. Yep. Peacemaker.
Okay.
Peacemaker. Such a blast. James Gunn crushed it. All the drama that's going on with him in DC. Listen, if this guy gets it right, no one is gonna have an issue at all with what just happened. And he can't, because look at what he's done. Guardians 1 and 2 are really good. Peacemaker, really good. The Suicide Squad, really good. Like he's 4 for 4 essentially. Mm-hmm. Like Guardians 2 wasn't that good, but it was good enough. And all those other ones were really good. So like, gotta, in my opinion, trust the guy. So he comes out and makes this show about a character that at the end of the Suicide Squad I hated because of what he did to Rick Flag, and he makes me love him. And he comes up with the catchiest intro dance theme of all time. It's such a joy, dude. It's a great show. I'm sure
I love this show. I'm going to be honest with you. And like you said, I'm all for one about James Gunn taking over for Warner Brothers and DC. You know what I'm saying? With handling the DC property and the way he is, he's 4 for 4, like you said. Yeah. And the way that he handled Peacemaker, because here's the thing, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan. when it comes down to his acting abilities or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I didn't really care about his character either. But then what James Gunn does is he does the most ridiculous thing with Peacemaker to make us care about him. Mm-hmm. To the point where, yeah, you're laughing at certain things, but at the same time, Peacemaker is actually dealing with a lot of emotional damage that his father has done to him. He's been locked up for a certain amount of time, and he's also been raised because the reason why he is the way he is because he is actually raised by his father to think the way his father does. And then you also have the Wanda Waller situation with the daughter that's going in there playing that part. The comedy aspect works in this. It can be over the top for some people, but for me, you need in order for this character to work, you need to have that James Gunn isms. That's what I'm calling, and being able to do whatever he did to this because he made Slither. That's some people will say that's like an over the top horror movie and stuff like that, but I really enjoyed it. But he knows the themes within the characters themselves to make that character work. And John Cena actually embodied Peacemaker. I love this show.
Yeah, and like another thing that you gotta realize is like, what is he trying to do? He's trying to build a universe. Like in the past, the DC movies, I can't really think of anything that was set up in the movie before and pays off in the next project. And he already did that. And think about it. In the Suicide Squad, when he kills Rick Flag, and what's Rick Flag say to him? He says, "Peacemaker, what a joke." And then in Peacemaker, he's dealing with that. Like he is hurt from killing Flag. It like finally something clicked in his head. Like, do I really want to be like this? And what Flag said to him really had an effect on him. So he's already done that. He's already made something that built on something else. And they haven't done that since. So it's like, yeah, trust the guy. He's going to kill it.
Exactly. And I think he's going to kill it just fine. And I think the DC universe is saved within his hands himself. And I even said this on my movie news show whenever we were discussing the whole entire Lobo, Jason Momoa being rumored as Lobo situation. So, I'm all for it. And him and Zac Efron are good friends. So, I'm good with that. So my number 4 would actually have to be my wife just asked about Wednesday. And to be honest with you, number 4 would be Wednesday because I was not expecting this to be good as it was. I was expecting it to be more about the family because that's what we're used to with the Addams Family, right? Especially when you look at the 90s version of the Addams Family and things like that. But once you find out that, she's getting kicked out of school for something that she did to defend her brother, and even though she winds up putting a bunch of piranhas inside the pool because she was going to kill the bully that was bullying her brother, then she gets kicked out and gets put into this other school that's built on this Edgar Allan Poe kind of theme. Is something that I really liked about it because I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan. And they do a little bit of small little nuggets of callbacks from the Addams Family values and stuff like that too. So that's something I really like, especially the canoeing part, the family values stuff. And they made it its own thing. It's just that, Gomez at first didn't really grow on me until maybe towards the end of the show or middle of the show with the actor that they chose for Gomez. And it has nothing to do with race or anything like that. It's just that I'm used to seeing Gomez in a certain kind of way because of the way that it was received in the Addams Family movie and stuff like that too. So I actually had to separate that from that, and I was able to enjoy it. And this is another thing too. Like, if this wasn't built in the Harry Potter world and stuff like that, this goes to show you if they do the same thing with Wednesday, what they did and do it to Harry Potter, it could actually work as a TV series, in my opinion. But I really like the Wednesday TV series.
So I only saw the pilot. How good? Like, I should definitely watch it.
Yeah, I would definitely watch it. It has a mystery element into this thing. Also, too, it has an underground society that her mom was a part of in the school that Wednesday winds up finding out. This actually has a great mystery element to it, and it kept my wife and I both entertained. And as a matter of fact, she actually says it was so good, and they incorporated some of the themes from the movie and put into their own twist on it. And that's exactly what they did. Even the thing with Thing actually has, even though he's a hand, it gives you some range of emotion of danger for other characters in this TV series of wondering who's going to die, who's not going to die, who's safe and who's not safe, kind of scenario too. And when you think that you picked out the killer, it goes into a completely different twist that I really liked.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I should try it out. I mean, it when there's smoke, there's fire type of thing. Like, there's way too many people talking about it. Jenna Ortega is like the biggest star right now. So, yeah, I should check it out.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Number 3. This is my. Okay. I had so much fun watching this show. I can't recommend it enough. The only reason why it's not number 1 is because how good number 1 and number 2, in my opinion, on my list are. This one, I hope you haven't seen it so that you can go watch it right now. The Resort.
I haven't seen it. I haven't even heard of it.
Dude, it's on Peacock. It is so good. So, Kristen Milotti, I'm a big fan of her. She was in Palm Springs, the movie with Andy Samberg a couple years ago. She's the main character in that. You'd recognize her. She's actually the mother in How I Met Your Mother. Like, she turns out to be the mother. But Kristen Milotti, Kristen Milioti, however you say her last name. I don't know, some Italian name. And William Jackson Harper. You know him from The Good Place. But my favorite person here, Luis Gerardo Mendez, who plays Baltasar Frias. One of my favorite TV characters, period. This dude stole scenes. It's so much fun. All right. Let me give you a little bit of what it's about. So the Kristen Milioti and William Jackson Harper, they're like this married couple who lost their baby. So they go on vacation. And while they're there, they're both like, should we be together type of thing? That's what they're going through. But then there's this cold case from like 10, 20 years ago. I forget how long. And where these 2 young people they disappeared from the island like years ago. And there's this whole mystery behind it. No one knows what happened. So she finds that guy's cell phone, one of the missing people. And she gets a new phone for it, puts the SIM card in the phone, starts going through his text messages, starts to unravel the mystery of what happened to him. So it's like a mystery with maybe some supernatural stuff going on. It's so good. I can't recommend the show enough. I had the best time watching the show.
I'm definitely going to watch that now. It's on Peacock, you said?
Peacock.
How many episodes is it? I'm just wondering.
8. There's 8.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I might watch it again, like right now, because I'm remembering how fun it was. It's so good. Like, I cannot recommend it enough. It is amazing.
Okay.
And not many people watched it. So check it out and let me know.
I definitely will, because I've been looking, my wife and I have both been looking for something new to watch. So the Bear is one of the ones that we're going to check out, and then this other one that you just mentioned is going to be another one. The Resort. Okay. I'm surprised that nobody's even talking about The Resort, though. It seems like everybody's sleeping on Peacock, though, too.
Yeah. That's definitely, like, if this was on Netflix, it would be much bigger. Like, people would know about it. But the fact that it's on Peacock, but that's the thing with starting a streaming service. You have to put good content on there, or people aren't going to watch it. So, like, you got to start somewhere. So good. Like, I'm so jealous you haven't seen it. You're going to love it. I would watch this one first and then The Bear. That's what I would do.
I definitely will.
It's so good.
So let's see here. The next thing I have is on my list, and this is actually one of my other favorite ones that my wife and I recently watched, was The Devil from Ohio. And it's on Netflix. And what I liked about it was the fact that you have this girl that's in this cornfield. She comes out of the cornfield, and then there's this whole entire investigation of what's going on with her. and you don't know quite what's going on. You're also going through this other nurse who's actually adopts different kids and things like that for troubled kids. But so happens to be, she winds up coming out of the cornfield. She has a pentagram on her back that's carved into her back. And so the whole entire deal is okay, so who's her family? What's happened? Who would do this to this girl? Why would anyone do this to this girl? And May is also dealing with this other thing of being in this family, dealing with a cult, because that's basically what her family is a cult, and dealing with the wondering if she should go back or not, and also dealing within the religion of their stuff, and also trying to fit into society, into a school, into an environment that she's never been in before. Because in that area is like 1600s, while over here is like 2023. So it's kind of like, if you think about it, the best way I can actually point this out is that M. Night Shyamalan movie of The Village. So basically, in her society, it's the 16 or 1800s. Over here, it's present day. And she's trying to fit into a present day's culture, basically. And it was really good. Some of it might seem like, some of the dialogue might feel like a Lifetime kind of situation, stuff like that, whenever you look at the dialogue. But underneath the surface of it, we were both really entertained with it.
Okay. I just saw this poster like yesterday. So that's interesting. Cool. It's good to know. I mean, if it made it that high on your list, it's gotta be good.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good to know. All right. Okay. I'm so curious if you've seen this. Welcome to Wrexham.
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude. You are in for a treat. How about Ted Lasso? Did you see Ted Lasso?
No, I haven't seen Ted Lasso, but I've been hearing. Okay. Here's the thing, though. I've been listening to your podcast. I've been hearing you talk about Ted Lasso and stuff like that too, and how much you love it.
Great.
But it's like I said, I have a list of things when you mention on the podcast, I actually write it down. So I'm like, okay, I need to see this because Dan said that this is actually good. Because you made me want to check out Everything Everywhere All at Once because of how much you raved about it, and I loved it. So yeah.
Oh, my favorite movie of the year. My favorite movie of the year. I love that movie. I'm glad that you liked it. Good. Okay, so the reason I said Ted Lasso is because Welcome to Wrexham is 2022's Ted Lasso, but it's real. Ted Lasso is fiction. This is real. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought a Welsh soccer team that is in the 5th division of English football. So they're in the National League. And that means, hypothetically, they could go all the way up to the Premier League. It's never been done before, but hypothetically, it could happen. If they keep getting promoted, they'll go to the Premier League. So this is about taking a team that is very loved locally and has lots of support and has been around forever. Their stadium's the longest stadium in England, the oldest stadium in England. So it's been around forever. But the team stinks. And what happens when you take a team and start putting some money into it, start, redo the field and fix the locker room and fix the water pressure in the shower, like actually take care of your players and pay players that are 2 levels higher to come down to the 5th division so that you could possibly get promoted. But it's about so much more than that. Rob and Ryan are so charismatic and so fun to watch, but it's about so much more than that. The fans, the staff, people who have like season tickets, people who own the bar next door. There's so many different storylines, people that work on the field, so many different storylines. And you find out about these people's lives and how much this team means to them. And the stories that they squeeze out of this are just so damn heartwarming. It's insane. Like, you cannot help but smile when you're watching the show. Phenomenal. It's top-notch TV. And I do like the sports reality shows when, Hard Knocks and stuff like that. there's a really great one. Oh God, it's slipping my mind. I'll try to remember it. But these types of shows I really like. But then you add Rob and Ryan into the mix, and it's just like so much better. It's it's great. You're in for a treat, man.
Okay, I definitely like a story with a lot of heart to it. Besides, the sports aspect of it, and having that whole entire deal of, you're pretty much like Mighty Ducks level, where when they first started out in the movie, and then you wind up winning games and putting money into building your franchise, basically, for example.
Yeah,
but I definitely liked it. Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting on that.
It's so good. And Sunderland Until I Die. That's the one I was thinking of. That's also a good one. But it's just masterfully done. The choices that Rob and Ryan make in editing has one of the coolest edits I've ever seen on a TV show, and it's going to win some awards. It already has won some awards. It's so good, and they're making season 2 right now. I'm following along with what the soccer team's doing to see if they're going to get promoted. It's fun. It's a blast, dude. It's a blast. So you have some really good TV ahead of you.
I have some good hours of television that you'll probably not see me until 2023, probably. Well, 2024. My bad.
And John, this is all stuff that I loved, and you haven't seen 3 of them. You're in for a treat, man.
You see, that's why I like doing this top list, because my list is going to be different than yours, and I can introduce you to some stuff that you haven't seen, and then you can introduce me to something. And a matter of fact, I haven't even seen The Offer. I want to see The Offer, and I'm a huge Godfather fan. I don't even know why I didn't even watch that.
Offer's great. So, that's also my honorable mention. I forgot to mention that one, but yeah, that was also very, very good. Very good.
Okay. Yeah. And so that was your number.
That was 2.
2? Okay. Man, we're powering on through. Okay. So, so number 2 for me would be Moon Knight. Okay. And here's the thing. I'm a sucker for Egyptian mythology. Like, if you went through my pre-recorded show, I was doing nothing but Egyptian mythology through this whole entire thing about mapping everything out, the way that it was described and everything else within Moon Knight. And I like the Egyptian mythology behind it. I like the fact with the personalities and traits and stuff like that, even though at first I'm like, wait, what's going on here? Because I was thrown for a loop. I was not expecting what I was expecting when it came down to that. Because in the Marvel universe and stuff like that, we never had that before, where we actually have a character that's dealing with split personality disorder or anything like that. So it was hard for me to actually focus in, and I don't recommend anybody trying to watch this show when you're getting off of work and you're tired. You actually have to pay attention to every little detail, or else you're going to miss it. And I was suckered into this whole entire thing. And Ethan Hawke does a fantastic job in this TV series. I felt like he was very menacing, very threatening in this series. Some people didn't like the season finale, and that's why it doesn't rank up there for some people or whatever, but because of the fact with the payoff at the end of it. But for me, it ranks up there for me.
Yeah, I definitely really enjoyed it. I mean, it was on my honorable mention list. Oscar Isaac, I mean, he was just so good. He was very, very good in this role, jumping from performance to performance, talking to himself, just absolutely mind-bending stuff. I really hope that they have future plans for Moon Knight. I know they're gonna use him again, but I really hope they have, because they could do something super, super cool with him in the future. So I really hope they figure that out. I think, John, Quantumania is going to jumpstart people caring about Marvel again. I think that's going to be. I really think it'll be good. I don't see another Thor situation. I didn't really like Thor.
Me either.
Which I thought I was going to love, and now I think I'm going to love Ant-Man. So we'll see. But
let me ask you something about that real quick. I know we're on TV shows, but here's the thing: a lot of my friends pick on me because I'm like, I actually have that in my worst movies category of 2022 for Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I would too. I would think.
And I'm like, no, it wasn't a good movie. And then also too, Doctor Strange was okay, but it doesn't rank up there as for top notch movies for me.
Yeah,
None of the Marvel
average.
shows, none of the Marvel movies actually hit for me. It was the more of the TV shows that were hitting more than the movies.
Well, I think
But
Moon Knight is definitely the best Marvel product of 2022, easily. I think Moon Knight was the best one. It was a weird year, man. I mean, I'll tell you what, this new phase, like ever since, I mean, really ever since Endgame, it just hasn't been. I don't know. It's been shaky. It's been shaky at boys. But listen, they're getting up there. It's like almost the 30th movie at this point. Like they're getting up there with content. You can't always have bangers, but I really do think Kang the Conqueror is gonna come back with a vengeance, and people are gonna love it. I that new trailer that just came out looks sick. It looks
it
so
does.
good. Yeah.
And here's the thing: I like the fact now there's higher stakes within the MCU. They're not playing it safe. Scott could die in this movie because he's a legendary character, which opens up the door for the new Avengers to come in. The only legendary character that you actually have left over is Doctor Strange, and that's it. You don't have any of the legendary characters that we had before, and there was not that other Tony Stark that you can actually fill that gap unless you count the new Iron Man that they threw at us for Wakanda Forever. But still, we didn't have that whole entire thing where we could care about a character like we did with Tony Stark. With Scott, though, we can care about him, we love him the way he is, and he has that Tony Stark kind of vibe to where we have that emotional attachment to that character.
Yeah, and director Peyton Reed, he didn't want to be the palate cleanser anymore. He wanted to be the big Avengers movie. So we'll see. We'll see if he delivers. It's only 2 hours and 5 minutes. It's actually pretty short, all things considered, with all these longer movies that have been coming out lately. But I couldn't be more excited for that. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be great. But yeah.
Okay.
Um yeah, okay. All right, time for number one. It
Yep.
is
Give it to
time.
me.
Okay. All right. Listen, once I saw this show, I remember I was down the shore, I was on vacation. Once I watched it, no show stood a chance the rest of the year. Severance. It was completely 100% down my alley. Sci-fi, good sci-fi, strong performances, strong writing, and guess what? They know what they're doing with the story, and that's what makes it so much more exciting because you hear what you might think to be a throwaway line in episode 1 or 2, and then towards the end of the season they do something that completely pays it off, and it's just like, wow, such a well-rounded idea of a show, and it's deep. I mean, Severance, the basic concept is you're agreeing to split your life between working and not at work, and you don't remember when you're at work, and to that version you don't remember when you're not at work. So it's just like bizarre with how they could make choices with acting too, because he's basically playing he is playing two people. Everyone who's severed is playing two people. So it's a really fun show, and it completely blew my mind.
Okay.
Dude, the lore to this, it's so much deeper. Like they barely scratched the surface. So season 2 has a lot to live up to, but if they deliver, this could go down in my top 5 shows of all time. That's how good the show is. It
Now,
is
correct me if I'm wrong. This
phenomenal.
is this is only ending in 2 seasons, right?
I don't know the exact length. You're saying 2 seasons and that's it?
Yeah. Is it just going to end in 2 seasons, or is it going to, or do you think that it's going to be another season after this one?
I haven't heard any definites on that. In my head right now, I would say between 3 and 5 seasons, depending on how quickly they want to resolve some of the big plot points that we just discovered in season 1. I mean, season 1 ended on a huge cliffhanger, but it's not like they didn't give you answers. They did give you answers. So it's like, now what? How are they going to build on that? It's really hard. But Ben Stiller, he's the director of the show, and he's doing a phenomenal job. Who knew Ben Stiller had something like this in him, man? This show is beyond mind blowing. It's so good. Please tell me you've seen it.
I haven't seen it because here's the thing: I don't have Apple TV anymore, so I'm gonna have to go on ahead and resubscribe to that just to check it out. But you know, I've heard all good things about it, and it's something that definitely interests me because I like the thriller kind of situation, not only thrilling situation, but the sci-fi aspect of it, and also too, I'm a sucker for different universes too. So that's something that's right up my alley. It's just that I don't have Apple TV, unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, it's unfortunately there's so many different streaming services these days, and that's going to happen. But it is so good. At this point, I wouldn't rush. Maybe wait till season 2 comes out and then binge it all, and then cancel your subscription and do it all over again when it comes back out. But it's definitely worth watching. Like, you have once you are able to check it out.
And so my number 1 would be House of the Dragon.
Okay.
And I was one of those people whenever Game of Thrones came out, I loved it all the way up until we had that final season, that final thing that they had. But then whenever I heard House of the Dragon was coming, the part of me was like, do I really need another Game of Thrones TV series? Especially after the stink bomb that I didn't like within the last season. And I'm like, then I see trailers. And then I'm like, okay, I'm definitely sold on this idea of a prequel series that comes out 200 years before the original Game of Thrones. And then I'm sitting there watching this. Matt Smith is killing it. And everybody is so dialed in to this, back into this thing. I'm like, okay, I'm sold on this now. I'm sold on this prequel idea. And every single time I would actually do an after show on Wednesdays, I was excited to talk about Game of Thrones again. And that's something that was missing from me that I didn't know that I was missing from me up until I saw House of the Dragon. Then especially when you see the big, huge dragon that's overlapping this other dragon that's actually really small and how massive that one is. Then you see the politics within this universe and how nice it was before everything. And then you see the whole entire thing just diminish because of them. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I need to revisit certain episodes in this because I just don't remember why when it first came out, I was like preoccupied with something else and I didn't really like give it a fair shot. I was like kind of half watching it, but I remember Matt Smith, and that dude is awesome. He's so good. He's a great actor. Yeah, I like him in pretty much anything I've like, even in bad stuff like One Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho.
Last Night in Soho. Yeah, even in that, which I didn't even like that movie, he's good in it. So that guy is he's a true talent. So yeah, I don't blame you for picking it. I mean, did you like season 1 of Game of Thrones better or this?
To be honest with you, if I had to put 2 of them together, this would be the most simplest show that you can actually think of when it comes down to House of the Dragon, because you don't have several different houses that they're trying to introduce you to. Because whenever I first saw Game of Thrones, it's like, oh, we have the House of Lannisters, we have this house, we have that house. And I have ADD. I'm going to be honest with you. I have ADD. And I was like, this is too much for me to handle. So what I did was I went on ahead. I turned the TV off. I didn't even bother going back and watching it up until it came out on Blu-ray. And so I put in the Blu-ray and I started focusing on it. And that's when I became a Game of Thrones fan. And I like this one because it's so simple in the storytelling and you're able to keep up with certain things within the show itself, to the point where you don't have to keep up with which house is who, because or anything like that. You don't have to worry about that. So I think that the very first pilot episode for Game of Thrones is a lot better than the pilot episode for the first season of Game of Thrones.
Okay. That's pretty strong. Yeah. I definitely need to go back and watch this again, especially the finale. So I'll revisit it. But yeah. Strong year. Strong year.
Definitely a strong year, but I do have one more honorable mention that I want to throw at you that nobody's even talking about, and is on Netflix right now.
Okay.
And I know you're into different universes and time travel and things like that, like how I am. And I think you will like this show. It's called Dark. And it's a German show. And basically, it's about two children who are gone missing in a small German town. And then there's also a sinful past, and of course, exposing along with the double lives and fractured relationships that exist among the four families as they search for their kids. Then, of course, they also introduce puzzles filled with twists and clues, a web of curiousness and stuff like that. Is a fantastic series, and it's in German. It has different universes, timelines, stuff like that. It's one of my favorite shows to watch. That's an overseas kind of show, and it's only 2 seasons. They're not going to have another season.
Really?
Yeah, and that's exactly how the creator wanted it. The creator only wanted to have 2 seasons, and that was it.
Okay. I've heard about this show from multiple people who know my tastes, and they all go, dude, you love this. I don't know why I haven't watched it yet. Just one of those things. Like, isn't there ever something that like you really wanted to see, and for some reason you just don't watch it? That's how it's been with this. Yeah,
that's how I feel though too, because there's just so much content and so much stuff to digest and absorb to the point where you miss out on the stuff that you were excited for. Because there's a bunch of trailer reactions that I do trailer reactions for, and I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for it. Then all of a sudden it just fizzles out because something else took that spot that I would actually go ahead and watch something.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you know it, you forget about it. And then somebody will remind you, hey, look, did you check this out? No, but I wanted to. Then you have an opportunity when something just the fire dies down a little bit to where you can watch something. And that's how I feel like with certain TV shows or movies. Once that fire dies down, once the popularity dies out a little bit and fizzles out, you can watch certain TV shows or movies. So that way you can watch them.
Yeah, that happens. I mean, sometimes even when I watch a season 1 of something and I love it, and then season 2 comes out, and like for whatever reason, I just fall behind on it. So it's just, I think that has to do with all these different services that we have these days. It's just so hard to keep up. So, I mean, even when you have a show like we do, it's like still so hard to watch everything.
It's hard to consume everything.
Yeah. It is, and then certain times you're still flipping for hours trying to find stuff. It's bizarre. It's bizarre what we do to ourselves.
But it definitely is, but it's well worth it for us as content creators, though, too.
Yeah,
and podcasters.
Yeah, it definitely is. But hey, man, good year. Lots of good shows. Lots of good shows this year. It could have been The Offer could have made mine for sure. I forgot about that until you said it. Fantastic. Very good. I didn't know a lot of that, and you know, it's based on a true story. Well, who knows how much they actually made up for the show, but fascinating stuff. I didn't know how deep that was, and how it still goes down as the best movie of all time. So, really good and interesting show. And like the producer who made that, then writes The Longest Yard, like. That's
insane.
That's a bizarre story, and I didn't know that until I saw The Offer, because that's how, spoiler alert, that's how it ends. He's on set of The Longest Yard, and I'm like, I'm looking it up. I'm like, how is this even possible? Like, Hollywood, man,
right?
Hollywood, yeah.
All right. So, is there anything exciting going on with your podcast or anything like that you want to actually throw out there or anything?
Yeah, I mean, this is basically like the Super Bowl for our YouTube channel. Servant videos have historically done the best on our channel. We get a lot of discussion going, lots of people chiming in, and we're covering the final season of Servant every Friday, starting this Friday. And we're going to do something for The Last of Us, but that's not definite yet, so I can't even say what it's going to be. But I know we're going to do something. I don't know if it's going to be every week, but Servant will be, because that is huge for us. Like we're very excited. I can't wait to see how that ends. M. Night Shyamalan, I'm a big fan of him. I think he's made a really big turnaround. He had a couple bad movies there, but I think ever since Lady in the Water, he's really turned it around, and he's done a really good job, all things considered. So this is his TV show. We'll see how he ends it. I'm couldn't be more excited.
Speaking of which, M. Night is actually coming out with a movie with Dave Bautista.
Yeah, that looks awesome. I just saw that new trailer, and I think the new trailer, the second one, if you want to search for it, the second one gives up more of a plot of like, oh, why are they doing this? Like they give you an answer finally, and it's really cool, man. Like it looks really good. I'm super excited to see it. And Dave Bautista's on fire. He's on fire, man.
I like Dave. I like M. Night Shyamalan now. He had a couple of, bad films here and there, but he's definitely come a long way since then, though. So
yeah, he's turned it around. Like even from The Visit, like things have been a lot better since then. He did Old, which didn't love.
I like aspects of Old, but I didn't like Old as a whole, if that makes sense.
Yeah, me too. But outside of that, like I know I keep saying outside of that, but he's had a couple really good ones. Obviously Split, like that was awesome. Glass was good, and now you got Knock at the Cabin, which looks great, and Servant. I've been a huge fan of Servant ever since. That's why I signed up for Apple TV, is because of Servant. So yeah, can't wait. Check that out on YouTube, Scene Invaders. Yeah.
Okay. So I do have a couple of announcements. Number one, Rossie is going to be going live in like 2 minutes for her show. And that's going to be for just one of the guys as a John Hughes film that came out back in the 80s and then got remade to She's the Man. So her and her sister are actually doing a rewatch and a review of that movie. That's coming out in 2 minutes. And then this Saturday, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, I'm going to have director Jason Pitts on the show, and we're going to do our first ever watch party for his film for the Voorhees Night of the Beast trilogy that he's been doing. And this is actually going to be Night of the Beast. And I'm going to have the cast and crew there. I'm also going to have Jason on. We're going to do this watch along, 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. It's only a 17-minute long short film. So I hope to see everybody there. But that's everything that's going on over here at Movie Lovers Unite. Dan, man, do not be a stranger to us or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to have you, Sean, and the rest of the guys on the show sometime in the future and stuff like that, too. It's always fun to have you on here. And you know what? Shoot me a message of all the shows that I missed that I need to check out, like those 4 that you mentioned, because I am going to check those out.
Yeah, I want to get your reaction after you watch them. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. I hope everyone has a great and safe night, and bye-bye.